That's what's going on in Arizona right now with the actual ballots, okay? That's the same guy, the one she's talking to, with people going around with blue pens on the physical ballots. That's the same guy who tweeted "Stop the Steal." And his audit counters are using pens that could potentially be used to change ballots. What on earth? I mean, there are already legitimate questions about the security around those ballots and this whole audit. A local news team in Phoenix reported that for 4 days, they, quote, gained access to the Coliseum, its hallways, staircases, the main floor, where the computer equipment will be used by the auditors. The team was able to get close to the actual ballots and county computer equipment. At no time did anyone at the site ask the team to leave. At no time did the team enter through any doorway or entry that contained a no trespassing or restricted access sign. For 4 entire days. Nobody was guarding the ballots or election computers these people have gotten their hands on to run their audit, unless you think the Trump supporter running the operation is some kind of an anomaly. An ex-Arizona lawmaker who was allegedly photographed on the steps of the U.S. Capitol during the January 6 riot says he and his wife are now involved in Arizona's audit of the 2020 election. Here's a picture of the guy shared by the Arizona House Democrats. He says he is helping with the audit. There he is, apparently on the steps. Now, Democrats are, not surprisingly, pushing back on this ludicrous undertaking, suing to stop it. A judge did actually temporarily halt the count this afternoon before allowing it to continue after Democrats declined to post a $1 million bond demanded by the judge. And so right now, the audit of the 2020 presidential election results in Arizona is somehow ongoing. Lori Roberts is a columnist at the Arizona Republic and azcentral.com, and she joins me now. I have to say, I've covered a lot of elections. I've covered recounts. I've covered very tightly contested elections. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Like, I actually don't even understand how this came to be. How did this come to be?
It's Arizona. What can I say? You can't spell Arizona without AZ. From the night of the election, the Stop the Steal chant began. And in our state, even though there has been no evidence of any wrongdoing, all of the audits done, all of the sample hand counts done, all of the lawsuits done have turned up absolutely no evidence of a problem. But we have a Republican Party here that is in the grips of the far right wing. These are people that are deeply into Donald Trump's pocket. And we have Republican elected officials who, simply put, are not willing to speak truth to their own constituents. They're scared to death of them. And so here we are with what I call them the Trump ninjas, because the company is Cyber Ninjas and Doug Logan is their CEO. So I call them the Trump ninjas. Here they are with our ballots. There are no city officials around. There are no state officials around. There are no county officials around. There is just Doug Logan and whoever his people are with our ballots. He can't tell us who's counting the ballots. He can't reassure us that the people counting the ballots are a mix of Republicans and Democrats and independents, since we're a state with a third, and a third. He can't tell us who's going to be doing the signature certification on the ballots, if they have any training in knowing how to compare signatures. He won't tell us who's going out to knock on doors to ask people, hey, did you really vote? Whether they've been vetted, who's going to be asked, what they're going to be asked. We know nothing because, in fact, reporters aren't allowed to come onto the floor of the Coliseum there that you're showing and report on what's going on. When asked about why, the reporters were told, well, there's not enough space for them. This is an arena with 15,000 seats, and there's not enough space to allow reporters inside with notebooks and cameras and all the things that they need to do their job. And we saw the result of that today when our reporter, Jen Fifield, was able to go in. The only way reporters can go in is if they have if they agree to be official observers, which is, of course, ridiculous. Reporters shouldn't be officially observing anything. They're there as members of the public. So she was allowed in as an official observer and noticed these pens, which everybody knows you can't take a blue pen or a black pen anywhere near ballots because the machinery will pick up whatever markings you may make on it and invalidate the ballot. The fact that Doug Logan didn't know that shows you just how ill-prepared they are to do this audit.
So, I mean, I'm almost at a loss for words here, but how does anyone take custody of them? Did they sue, or were they? It was unclear to me. Did they sue for this, or did the Arizona Republicans in the state Senate grant them this access?
The Senate Republicans who control the Senate, it's a 30-person Senate, and 16 of them are Republicans, subpoenaed these ballots for the first time in I think late November or early December, and the county said, we can't hand them over to you because Kelly Ward, who is the state Republican Party chairwoman, is still suing us. And we're not going to turn over our voting machines and our ballots to you that are potential evidence while we're being sued. So once the lawsuits were mostly taken care of, Senate President Karen Fann put out another subpoena for these ballots and for the machinery and for everything else and for voter records. And a judge ultimately ordered that the subpoenas are valid. So the county had to turn over this material. Now, the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors is a 5-member board run by Republicans who point out that there had been no evidence of a problem. They even went the extra mile and hired experts, actual experts, to check out the machinery, which is the Dominion Voting Systems machinery, to see if there was any problem with the machinery. They came up with nothing. So when the time came for them to be part of this audit, and when they found out who was involved with the audit, they're like, we want nothing to do with this. We'll give you the ballots. You take them wherever you want them to be. And so that's where they are. They've been taken out of the vault where they were under clear security, and now they've been trucked over along with all these machines to Veterans Memorial Coliseum, where we don't know what kind of security there are. Reporters were wandering around there last night. They're supposed to be, I mean, who knows? There, if you can look in the picture there, you'll see a little fence on the side, I think to the left, and the ballots are behind there. There's, I think, 50 or 60 pallets of them. It's 2.1 million ballots. They also will have access to the envelopes that you have to sign, should they want those. They get everything. And here's the scary part. It's not the Senate doing this audit. They have outsourced the whole thing to these private contractors who have our records, who have our ballots. We don't know what they're doing with it, and they clearly have no idea what they're doing themselves with it, because they don't even know that you can't use a red pen or blue pen. So who knows what they're going to do? And another thing.
This is the
thing. If you don't mind me interrupting you.
Go ahead,
I know
please.
You're not used to being interrupted.
Please, no, please.
The other thing that should shock people is the Senate allocated $150,000 for this audit, which every elections expert that the Republic has talked to says that's a ridiculous thing. You need anywhere from $1 million to $8 million, depending on what you want to do. So One America News Network and one of their reporters, in conjunction with Trump lawyer Glenn Wood, is doing fundraising to raise private funds to supplement the cost of the expense of this audit, that he's feeding this money directly to the Cyber Ninja people. We don't know who's giving money for this official state audit. We don't know who's funding it. They won't say whether we'll ever know the source of the money. It's become a ridiculous thing. The only people, to my knowledge, the only journalistic organization, to my knowledge, that has access to the floor is One America News Network. But this is a totally independent audit. Totally.
Lori Roberts, thank you so much for coming on. I'm literally incredulous. I cannot believe the facts as laid out here. And thank you for explaining them so clearly. I really appreciate it.